All right, Bill, you're live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the San Francisco Playhouse. I'm used to hearing a roar go up among a crowd of 300 people when I say that from the stage, but actually, I imagine it now. You're all going, yay! Except now, instead of a full house, we have houses full for some live theater. See, I'm getting into this television thing. I'm going to be our Monday night Zoom series, which we're thrilled to present to you. I'd like to take a moment just to be grateful and express our appreciation and respect for the Ohlone people who lived on our land long before us for many centuries and who stewarded this land so magnificently. And we hope that we can allow them to be an example of how we can learn to care for the land on which we have uh, lived after the Ohlone were here. So, Zoomlet time. Those of you who haven't seen one before, these are very special. The Zoomlets are basically a short play, 10, 15-minute play, but they're director driven. So, the idea is the artistic director, myself, I pick a play and I pick a director. And that pretty much is all I do. Well, I do a few other things, but as far as the production goes, it's then in the director's hands. And the director will choose the actors. The director will talk endlessly with the playwright about the meaning of the play and about exactly what's going on. And then he will come up with a concept that on which he will then hire the actors and the designers and put together the entire production. So you see, the two most important choices an artistic director ever makes are the play and the director, because once the director gets a hold of it, it's in their hands. So we're very thrilled tonight to be doing a really wonderful play called River's Message. And it's going to be by Conrad Panganiban, and it's going to be directed by Jeffrey Lowe. So, Conrad, Jeffrey, good to see you guys.
Great to
Hey,
see you, Bill.
thanks for having us.
Thank
Did I
you.
get that name right, Conrad?
Yes,
I lucked out.
it's pretty phonetical.
Yeah, it's pretty fanatical. Yeah. So, gosh, just tell us about this play. How did it come to be?
Um, I was asked to write a play, but um, I guess in just thinking, it's just I work in tech, so I always wanted to know, and I've always had a fascination with a person's soul, a person's spirit, and I always wondered how if a person's spirit leaves, where does it go? And being in a tech kind of field, I was wondered, what about if a person's spirit can live among the airwaves through Wi-Fi? So that's where the germ connected,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, and it just had a whole bunch of questions I wanted to answer. Is like, if this kind of technology existed, would a person take advantage of that, use it? Um, and what was good about casting two females, two young, artists, people in this world is something I don't really see that much, especially in terms of because I work in computer science and I work with amazing women, people in the IT field. I always wanted to see them featured on stage. So I had one of my characters who is a computer science person, and make no apologies about it. She's brilliant. Um, and that's another thing I wanted to focus on and explore. Um, but yeah, I just working with this play, and it really hits close to home because it does talk about death, something that I've been very close to since the pandemic. Actually, this past weekend was my fifth Zoom funeral. Um, so it's been hard, but hopefully there's some healing, and what I can share, and hopefully some hope of a person's spirit, and hopefully it carries on.
What a wonderful artistic statement. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
It's great. I think it's great that tech people get to be in plays, the characters. Because, we think of tech people as being potentially a little soulless, or being people that are driven simply by science or money. So it's I think it's a noble pursuit.
Thank you, especially where we live.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So Jeffrey, what?
Yes.
So you were the one that sent the play to me. So what's your connection to the play and your director's thoughts about the play?
Yeah. So I've had the great pleasure of being a friend and collaborator with Conrad for over 5 years, six, seven. I lose track of
something
time,
like
but
that. Yeah.
it's been a long time. And actually, Conrad wrote this piece for a collection of shorts that I was putting on called the Bench Project. That was a fundraiser for a local nonprofit organization. And really, the only prompt that I gave was it needed to be sat on a bench. And Conrad came up with this beautiful story. And then later on, when the pandemic sort of shut everything down, we wanted to adapt some of our pieces for Zoom. So what the audience is going to see today is actually an adaptation of what was set on a bench, but now is set on a Zoom call, because this piece really lends itself to it's just about communication. It's about friendship and about ideas. So it really translated well to a Zoom call. And for me, what I find so powerful about the piece, especially being based in the Bay Area and San Francisco, in like the real hub of this, is that it's really wrestling. And Conrad wrote this years ago, so he's really ahead on this conversation. But I think so much of what we're doing today is wrestling with technology's place in our lives and technology's place in our souls, which is comes right to the heart of what this piece is about. Because I think so much and not for purposefully malicious reasons, so much of what technology's purpose seemed to be for was for convenience and for the benefit of humankind, or to make things easier for us or better for us, whatever that means. And now technology has gotten so advanced that we now have to think of the morality of things. This isn't just a microwave we're talking about. This isn't just a toaster oven. This is, you know, how we communicate to one another. What news looks like. And here it's how are we messing with life and death in a way that goes past standard medicine. And I think that what's so interesting is that, in today's day and age, this is set on a Zoom call, which is how we're able to communicate right now because of the pandemic. And also it in another level of things is looking at communicating with your parents, living or dead, through technology, because that's another thing that so many of us have parents who are elderly or immunocompromised, and we have limited ways to communicate to our parents. So I think this play is going to hit us on a lot of really cool and wonderful emotional levels.
Fantastic. I was when you were talking, I started thinking about, well, what was the first play where this idea of technology and the soul and were connected? And I think has to be Frankenstein.
Mm,
That story. It kind of was the first time that literature contended with the idea that man could mess with life and with the soul, and what is the soul, and does the monster have a soul? And then I also thought that this is actually this year is actually the 100th anniversary of RUR. Rossum's Universal Robots,
hmm
which was the first play about like machine life, right? No machine could have life. Written in Czechoslovakia, I think. And it's interesting. It's been 100 years since the first technological play that I can think of, anyway. So that's great. What a great! You guys have such a great take on it and great vision. So Jeffrey, you've selected some actors to do this piece. Would you like to introduce them and talk a little bit about why you chose these particular two actors for these roles?
Sure. Why don't we jump on, and I'd love to have our actors turn their videos on and introduce themselves, and we could chat just a little bit before we jump on into the play. There they are. And why don't we introduce ourselves?
Hi, I'm Adrienne Walters. And yeah, I've worked with Jeffrey so many times as an actor, as a co-writer, in so many different ways. So I'm so excited to be working on this.
Hi, I'm Carolina, she, her, hers, and I'm very excited to be here virtually on the West Coast.
Carolina's joining us at 12 p.m. New York time. So thank you for joining us, Carolina. Yeah, the reason, when I've, as I said, I've been familiar with this piece. I directed this for our charity event the first time a few years ago, and earlier in the year, I produced it. I didn't direct it the second time around. And what I love about this piece is that it's really, it really is a piece for fun, vibrant, and strong characters and actors who sort of present that. And I think that these are both two really intelligent people that are that are both caring, smart, strong, just like everything that we would aspire to be as people. And when I was thinking about how fun it would be, I wanted to sort of encapsulate the fun and the friendship of these two, especially really early on, to then give us a head start, because it's only a 10-minute piece, to the heartache and the depth that we get to in this play. And what's interesting is, so as Addie had said, she and I have worked together for forever, for a number of years. And Carolina and I have only worked together not as actor and director, but she produced an event that I was able to be a director for. And Addie was actually a part of that as well. And what was funny to me is I was thinking to myself, for whatever reason, I'm like, I feel like those two, if they were like in the same room, they would be friends. And so
Feel it. I feel
yeah, and so this sort of felt like an opportunity to sort of manifest that thought that I had a few months ago. Cool.
Love it. Thank you for that because I love like Adrian and you did such an amazing job in the reading that we produced. So it's like that's one of the big perks of this virtual world now is that we get to connect with people from across coasts and across the world and time zones.
Yeah, yeah, great. Bill, should we jump into this?
Well, it's up to you. If you want to give many notes before they start, or whether we just go ahead and throw it up there and see if it sticks.
All right. Well, I think let's just jump into it. I think we have many people in the audience here, many who have probably been to these Zoomlets before. But what we're going to be doing is sort of mimicking a first rehearsal of sorts. So both Addie and Carolina have had the script for a little bit, and although they haven't read it together, so you are going to see a cold read as you would at any first rehearsal, and then we'll jump back on and we'll have a conversation and some notes. But we're gonna jump into this fresh and have a good time with it. Cool. I'll start us actually. And a river song by Conrad A. Panganiban.
Kennedy, where were you?
I'm right here, River.
No, I texted you like a million times.
Yeah, sorry. Phone's on silent.
Okay, but what if it was an emergency?
Then you'd Zoom me?
Uh, zoom a zoom zoom.
River, I'm trying to finish up my final. I promise I'll Zoom you back in 10 minutes.
No, I don't have 10 minutes because this is literally a life or death situation.
You're right. I'll kill you if you don't leave me alone.
No, please, Kennedy, you're my only hope.
Dang it. You know Star Wars is my weak spot.
May the force be with you.
Always. What happened?
Okay, my stupid laptop ate my final and I need you to make it throw up.
What did I tell you about always having a backup?
No, I know, I'm talking to her.
Not cool.
Okay, remember in high school when you did that thing to find that other thing on my laptop so that my mom wouldn't see me doing,
That thing?
yeah.
So you want me to remote into your laptop and use the terminal's find command to retrieve your final paper using its M time?
Whatever you just said, yes.
All right, fine. Just let me finish.
Oh, it's due in 5 minutes.
River!
I know. I'm sorry. I'll bake your favorite
A lemon blueberry layer cake?
with cream cheese frosting. We need to celebrate finishing your final 2, right?
Don't touch anything.
Whoa. No, I swear you better be controlling my screen because ghosts are no bueno.
Spirits, not ghosts.
Wait, was that a good or a bad
It's just a Found it. Hold on. Option click, save as, dot text, word, open. When a human body dies, its spirit leaves the body and returns to its original form. It's pretty deep. And you wrote it?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are a genius.
And I release your laptop back to you.
Got it.
Sorry about the rap lines. Hopefully you'll just need to add in a couple indents and double spaces.
Well, as long as I don't have to retype everything, I already forgot. I'm good. Oh, I knew that your computer science major thingy would come in handy.
Sounds like a pretty heavy subject when a human body dies.
Well, it's for Psych 151.
Ah, the death and dying class? Did it help?
No time for talking, time for reformatting.
Right. Format away.
Hey, thanks for saving me again. If you want, we can Zoom after you finish your project.
Actually, it's good that you Zoomed me when you did. I need your help with it.
Due tomorrow, right?
Web dev, 261 social media application development.
Not sure how much help I'll be. I'm kind of in the middle of a love-hate, I want to throw you out of a moving car kind of relationship with these stupid computer things right now.
I promise it'll only take a minute. I just need you to log into your Facebook.
No, hold that thought. And uploading into the class Google Drive. Booyah! Last final of the semester, done. This calls for a little.
Glad to see you happy.
Duh! The hardest semester, shoot, year of my life, and it's now done. Done. Ugh. We have to go out and celebrate. My treat.
It's a pandemic and you're broke.
Right. Let's mask up and you pay.
No. You stay home, be safe, and have a couple of the White Claws I left in your fridge just for this very occasion.
You always think of everything.
And you can repay me by testing out my final project. There's a couple tweaks that I need to make.
Tweaks my ass. Finals are donezo and I'm ready to party.
But this is Big River. This project will change life as we know it. It can even change death.
Dude, total buzzkill.
Right. Sorry. This is supposed to be your celebration. And after the year you've had, I can't think of another person who deserves to be more inebriated than you.
I'll drink to that.
But I really need you to test my project. You're the only person who can help me, and after I totally saved your life, I thought that maybe. Never mind. You go have your White Claw while I flunk out and get disowned by my family and become destitute. I'll Zoom you later. Bye.
Wait.
What? What was that?
A socially distanced hug to say that I'm sorry for being an inconsiderate a-hole to my best friend.
Thank you.
Now, promise me you won't become a prostitute.
Destitute. I said destitute.
I'm kidding. I know what you said, you dork. I thought I'm the only person who can give a worse skill trip than my mom.
Did it work?
What is it you want me to test?
I can Zoom you back when you're sober.
No, this may be the last time you'll see me sober in a while.
Okay, if you're sure.
Kennedy.
Okay. Tell me if this gets boring and we'll stop.
Oh, just shut up and tell me what to do.
Okay, cool. Can you install a new browser in Chrome? I kind of installed something earlier when I remoted in.
I don't know or care what that means, but it's open.
Now log into Facebook.
Okay, but Kennedy, honey, you know someone's already created Facebook, so you can't technically call it your project.
Duh, I know that. My project is in the Messenger app.
So, what, you want me to go there?
Do that, and you're one step closer to being tipsy.
Everybody in the club and tipsy. Okay, I'm here.
Do you see a blue dot?
Is that like a sick joke?
It's my final project. And by your reaction, it looks like it worked.
That that's not funny, Kennedy.
It's not meant to be, it's meant to communicate with the other side.
The other side of what?
Life.
What?
I created a Facebook app that hooks into a laptop's Wi Fi processor, which makes it possible to tap into a frequency that only spirits on the other side can feel.
Feel?
Remember when you lost your mom and you told me that you still had so many things to tell her?
Yeah, and I wrote them all in a message to her on Facebook.
And that made me wonder if there was a way to tap into another dimension, another plane of existence, if you will, through Wi Fi.
Wait, do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth? Because my ears heard crazy.
I know how it sounds, but think about it. We can communicate with people all over the world through Zoom, right? So, why couldn't we do that with our loved ones living in a world where only a wireless fidelity IEEE 802.11xb channel on a 12 gigahertz band can reach them?
Okay, you could have just said Wi-Fi.
Well, technically it's a super Wi Fi, but it's the only direct connection to them.
On Facebook?
Did you know that 30 million users passed away in the first 8 years of Facebook's existence? And when you break that down, that's 312,500 users every month, which is 10,273 people every day, which leads to 428 Facebook profile owners that die every hour.
Wait, serious. Kennedy.
But even though they're gone, their lives still live on their Facebook pages.
Yeah, but they're still gone.
Not with what I coded.
But you can't change death.
I'm not trying to change anything because, in theory, they're not really dead. They're just their souls, their spirits are tuned into another frequency that we haven't been able to tap into yet until now.
But Kennedy, you can't bring back the dead.
Then prove me wrong. Click on the message with the blue dot next to your mom's name and find out.
Don't do this to me.
Don't you want to see what she wrote?
Kennedy.
River. The only thing I care more about in this world than computers is you. And when I saw you hurting and I couldn't do anything about it, I knew I had to do something. And this was it.
Why me? Why my mom? You don't know how long it took me to get over losing her.
Are you?
No, but that's not your decision to make.
But don't you want to know if she's okay? If she's at peace? Don't you want to tell her how much you miss her, how much you still need her?
Of course I do, but that's not for us to decide. This is life, and a part of life is death, and so is letting go.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Not anymore, because you still have her, and you can always have her because she's right there, on the other side of that blue dot, waiting for you.
And the screen would fade to black in our production. Cool. Thank you both. Nice. Thank you for that reading, everyone. Cool. So our audience friends that we can't see, we're just going to do what we call table work very briefly. Usually this would take a really long time, and usually we would be working with an entire play, but we just have a conversation to start here to talk about ask questions and all of that. And we're very thrilled to have our playwright here as well if we need it. But yeah, for our two actors, what was I'd love to hear anything that sort of stuck out to you upon this reading and hearing each other reading it opposite each other for the first time. What sort of themes or lines or moments really stuck out to you here?
I think something that Conrad said earlier about, being close to death, especially during this pandemic, and I too have been to Zoom funerals and seeing the Facebook, like that's how I get the notices of a loved one passing, and um it's jarring. And I think about how, I now with technology, I go back through texts of a conversation that I had with them, or go through their wall, or go through their um, photos. So then it's something that's like, are our loved ones really gone? If we believe in, like the science of, energy just shifts into something else. It never is. I'm butchering it. Some science person's gonna go like, it doesn't disappear. It changes into some different form. So what is that? And so just makes me think about like um, how much this is possible or could be possible.
Yeah.
I think when I first read this and then read the version for Zoom, it was so interesting because like the like normal world of losing someone, there's so much, it's so much about that interpersonal ability to hug someone who you may not have seen in a decade, and that closeness that comes from this like mutually devastating experience, and that like Zoom and this pandemic creates this distance. And yet like I know that people I had lost before the pandemic, I would call their cell phone just to hear their voicemail and just to hear their voice again. And I remember that moment when I called my friend's voicemail and someone else answered it, and I immediately hung up because it was like they had recycled the number, as like you must do, right? That's how the world works. Things are recycled. And this, I think the first thing that struck me in this reading was how resistant River was to the idea for um like it seems so human to like like that need for self-preservation, to be like we have to let go, that's what we're told, and like that's how it has to be. And having this idea that that might not be something we have to do, that we could continue these relationships just on a different, you know, plane. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that, Addie, where it's like, in a lot of ways, what we've lost during the pandemic, which is, as you say, the physical touch, that we can hold someone's hand, we could hug them, we can sit next to them. That is sort of what's lost now. And that would in the scenario of this play, that's what would be lost between River and her mom if she could still communicate with her. It's also interesting to think like in a, I'm sure technology, I'm not sure, I hope technology can't do so, but this would scare me. But I think that, I know that like in emails already, like they predict what you're going to say. And in a lot of ways, I can see a world where they probably already have this, like some tech person's like, we already do this, but you can go through someone who has left us, go through all of their text messages, all of their emails, all of their phone calls, and sort of develop like an 80% guess of how they would respond in a conversation. And it's like, is it healthy? Is that good for us to have? or not. But I have an opinion. I don't think it's good, but it's so interesting to think like if you're in that position. Conrad, where do you live with this? You actually work in tech.
Yeah, and that's actually, interesting you say that about Google's, uh, you know, guessing that their AI predictives, what's your next response and everything like that. So it's getting there, but it's still a person's soul. That's what I love about the friendship between these two, because it feels organic. And thank you both, because I know it's your first time reading together, but it comes through. And can that, relationship exist in a predictive world?
Mm.
Because everything that's going to be done has already happened, so it can't be organic like it is. But really quick, Adrian, you said something about River's resistance to it, and because she's, she lost her mom for a year already, and trying to take this class, trying to do everything to try to finally cope with everything, and then Kennedy offers hope, and how can she go through that? And it's funny because I threw in the Star Wars line, because yes, I do. I love Star Wars, but episode 4 is called A New Hope. So that's another wrinkle in this play for you. But anyways,
Cool.
enough.
Cool.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, it was so funny. As I was hearing it, I was just like, oh gosh, we're gonna have to do adjustments. I mean, like, can we just do it again like that? It felt so good already. But let's just break this up in just a little bit before we read a portion of it again. I'd love to hear from both of you. What do you imagine? I was thinking as I was watching, like, what roles do you imagine each of these two play within their friendship?
Kennedy feels like the logistical person, like, how she has the white claws ready. She's prepared. She's thought about, like, River needs all these things to get through this year, to get her through everything. I've created these things. Like, there's Amazon packages scheduled by day, for what River will need. Um, yeah, so that's where I feel Kennedy is, in that sense.
Yeah, I definitely get the feeling that I, I don't know what their relationship was before, but with River's mom passing, it feels like Kennedy kind of stepped into a provider role to give River space to fall apart and pick up the pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
This
is
is
really what best friends do, right?
yeah, yeah. This is a really dark way to put it, but one thing that I put was like, if a friend asked both Kennedy and River, I need to bury a body, like River's like, let's go, like I'm getting in the car right now, let me just put on my shoes, and Kennedy's like, okay, logistically, how do we make sure we're successful at this?
Logistically, we need bleach, we need tarp, we need dogs, we need to go into the middle of the woods. Yeah.
Yeah. And River's just like putting on her jacket, like ready to go.
Yeah. He's like a little emotional about it all. Kind of like, okay, let's do it.
So funny, so funny. The part of the piece that I want to look at, it's so interesting. I actually think that we might be able to do this whole thing, and it wasn't too long. But the thing that I wanted to take a look at was the question I had for each of you. They're a little different, but and then we could talk about it individually. But the first one was for Kennedy. What was her? I was curious about her journey to bringing up the full reveal to River of what she had as her project. And there was even a point, I think I noted it on page 6, where I'm like, does Kennedy very briefly change her mind on it? Like, she's just like, oh, maybe not today, maybe not now. So I'm trying to track the ebb and flow of what does she know? Does she know River is going to respond this way or negatively to it, or does she think it's going to be all good? And then for River, I'm curious what her journey is, and exactly that question. Like, she's resistant at first, but at what point does she? So at the very end, it's hard to tell because we don't have the stage directions, we don't have all the music and everything, but she does click on it. And then the very last moment of the piece is we see the reaction on her face when she sees a message from the technology version of her mom. And I'm curious what makes her change her mind. Is it, and it might be a combination of things, it's like, is it her mom, is it her friend, is it all any number of things? I'm curious what the two of you thought about those questions.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it too. And, you know, I think, the reason why, because she's been ignoring her calls, River's calls in the beginning, is that she's been working on this and wanting to get it right. And, so I think it's like, I think it was something where it feels like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, it feels like, uh, that moment of like, oh, I'm in her laptop. I didn't know, but oh, it's not ready, but this could be the moment. Um, and so like jumping in on that, but she, I think, doesn't want to, up until that moment where like she's in the computer, and then is like, and I think also, seeing reading the final paper that River wrote is like, oh, maybe that's a sign. Okay, maybe you're ready for this. Okay, you know.
Yeah. What you were saying, Carolina, makes me think that, like, I think Kennedy thinks that and maybe knows the worst case scenario is that River agrees to try this and the technology is what messes up. Like, that seems to be like the worst case. Like it like freezes her computer and she doesn't even, like, she emotionally revs herself up for this, and then she just gets like that blue screen of death, and it's like, oh, like that feels like the most heartbreaking version of this. What do you think, Addie?
I think that it definitely, I think that the decision to look is definitely something that would come from having your best friend create this. Meaning, I'm not sure that I think there would be much more hesitation if it was just like something that was offered, or like trial, like, oh, have you lost a loved one? We can connect you on Facebook. Like, I think if there was like if it was a bigger distance between who created it and her, there would be way more hesitation. But I think, considering how close their friendship is, and um the nature of their relationship that we see just in this little window, it's so clear that, like, they both trust and feel safe with each other. Therefore, this project couldn't have anything but like love and like care that would prioritize, like it definitely feels like Kennedy would prioritize making sure that River is in a space to receive this, rather than um I don't know, that need to push the deadline of the project,
Mm-hmm.
like, I just, based on how I'm reading it, like, if this wasn't ready, Kennedy would shelve it until it is,
Yeah.
rather than giving this moment of like possible reconnection to a past parent prematurely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, for the in the interest of time, let's jump into this, and I'll just give a couple of thoughts just to think about and put at the front of your mind as you jump into this one more time. And I think that it's letting, as we were talking about, their friendship just feels so, they're so intertwined with one another. So it's like they didn't meet in college, like they met middle school or high school, and they happen to be now at the same college. Like, they've known each other for that long. And Kennedy has been at, she like ate dinner at River's house growing up, and like that's the type of friendship that they have. And I think that once we get to the point, about two-thirds of the way through the play, when when Kennedy's starting to inch towards revealing the program that she's made, we'll play with that ebb and flow, both of River's decision being like, really seeing that beat where River's like, I'm doing this because my friend made it. It's like someone cooked you something you don't think you're going to like, but it's your best friend and they did it for you, you know? And then for Kennedy, that navigation of, is River ready for this, and is the program ready for this? And then there's a point where it's like, there's no tomorrow, we're just going to offer this up. Yeah, cool. All right, we'll take it from the top. Thanks. All right, River's Message by Conrad Panganiban.
Kennedy, where were you?
I'm right here, River.
No, I texted you like 100 million times.
Yeah, sorry, my phone's on silent.
Yeah, but what if it was an emergency?
Then you'd Zoom me.
Zoom.
River, I'm trying to finish up my final. I promise I'll Zoom you back in 10.
No, wait, I don't have 10 minutes because this is literally a life or death situation.
You're right, I'll kill you if you don't leave me alone.
Oh, please, Kennedy. You're my only hope.
Dang it. You know Star Wars is my weak spot.
May the Force be with you.
Always. What happened?
My stupid laptop ate my final and I need you to make it throw up.
What did I tell you about always having a backup?
No, I know, and I'm talking to her.
Not cool.
Okay, remember in high school when you did that thing with that other thing on my laptop so that my mom wouldn't see me, doing
That thing.
Yeah.
So you want me to remote into your laptop and use your terminal's find command to retrieve your final paper using its M time.
Whatever you just said, yes.
All right, fine. Just let me finish.
No, it's due in 5 minutes.
River!
I know, I'm sorry. I'll bake your favorite.
A lemon blueberry layer cake?
With cream cheese frosting. We need to celebrate finishing your final 2, right?
Don't touch anything.
Whoa. I swear, you better be controlling my screen because ghosts are no bueno.
Spirits, not ghosts.
Wait, was that a good or a bad
It's just a Found it. Hold on. Option, click, save as, .text, word, open. When a body dies, its spirit leaves the body and returns to its original form. That's pretty deep.
Oh, that's it. Thank you. You are a genius.
And I release your laptop back to you.
Got it.
Sorry about the wrapped lines. Hopefully you'll just need to add in a couple indents and double spacing.
No, as long as I don't have to retype everything I already forgot, I'm good. I knew that your computer science major thingy would come in handy.
Sounds like a pretty heavy subject when a human body dies.
Yeah, it's for Psych 151.
Ah, the death and dying class. Did it help?
Wait, no time for talking, time for reformatting.
Right. Format away.
Hey, thanks for saving me. Again. If you want, we can Zoom after you finish your project.
Actually, it's good that you Zoomed me when you did. I need your help with it.
We do tomorrow, right?
Web Dev 261, social media application development.
Not sure how much help I'll be. I'm kind of in the middle of this love, hate, I want to throw you out of a moving car kind of relationship with these stupid computer things right now.
I promise it'll only take a minute. I just need you to log into your Facebook.
Hold that thought and uploading into the class Google Drive. Booyah! Last final of the semester, done. This calls for a little.
Glad to see you happy.
The hardest semester, shoot, like year of my life, and it's now done. We have to go out and celebrate. My treat.
It's a pandemic, and you're broke.
Right. Well, let's mask up and you pay.
No, you stay home and be safe, and have a couple of the White Claws I left in your fridge just for this occasion.
You always think of everything.
And you can repay me by testing out my final project. There's a couple tweaks that I need to make.
No, tweaks my ass. Finals are donezo and I'm ready to party.
This is big, River. This project will change life as we know it. It can even change death.
Dude, like total buzzkill.
Right, sorry. This is supposed to be your celebration, and after the year you've had, I can't think of another person who deserves to be more inebriated than you.
I'll drink to that.
But I really need you to test my project. You're the only person who could help me, and after I saved your behind, I just thought that maybe. Never mind. You go have your White Claw while I flunk out and get disowned by my family and become destitute. I'll Zoom you later. Bye.
Wait.
What? What was that?
A socially distanced hug to say I'm sorry for being an inconsiderate a-hole to my best friend.
Thank you.
Now, promise me you won't become a prostitute.
Destitute. I said destitute.
I'm kidding. I know what you said, you dork. Geez, I thought I'm the only one who can give. I thought the only person who can give me a worse guilt trip was my mom.
Did it work?
What is it you want me to test?
I can zoom back when you're sober.
This may be the last time you'll see me sober in a while.
Okay, if you're sure.
Kennedy!
Okay. Tell me if this gets boring and we'll stop.
Just shut up and tell me what to do.
Okay, cool. Can you open up a new browser in Chrome? I kind of installed something earlier when I remoted in.
Okay, I don't know or care what that means, but it's open.
Now log into Facebook.
Okay, but Kennedy, honey, you know that someone's already created Facebook, so you can't technically call it your project.
I know that. My project is in the Messenger app.
So you want me to go there?
Do that and you're one step closer to being tipsy.
Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Okay, I'm there.
Do you see a blue dot?
Is that like a sick joke?
It's my final project. And by your reaction, it looks like it worked.
That's not funny, Kennedy.
It's not meant to be. It's meant to communicate with the other side.
The other side of what?
Life.
What?
I created a Facebook app that hooks into a laptop's Wi-Fi processor, which makes it possible to tap into a frequency that only spirits on the other side can feel.
Wait, feel?
Remember when you lost your mom and you told me that you still have so many things to tell her?
Yeah, and I wrote them all down in a Facebook message to her on Facebook.
And that made me wonder if there was a way to tap into another dimension, another plane of existence, if you will, through Wi-Fi.
Wait, do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth? Because my ears heard crazy.
I know how it sounds, but think about it. We can communicate with people all over the world through Zoom, right? So why couldn't we do that with our loved ones living in a world where only a wireless fidelity IEEE 802.11xb channel on a 12 gigahertz band can reach them?
Well, you could have just said Wi-Fi.
Well, technically a super Wi-Fi, but it's the only direct connection to them.
On Facebook?
Did you know that 30 million users passed away in the first 8 years of Facebook's existence? And when you break that down, that's 312,500 users every month, which is 10,273 people every day, which leads to 428 Facebook profile owners that die every hour.
Serious, Kennedy.
But even though they're gone, their lives still live in on their Facebook pages.
Yeah, but they're still gone.
Not with what I coded.
But you can't change death.
I'm not trying to change anything because in theory they're not really dead. They're just their souls, their spirits are just tuned into another frequency that we haven't been able to tap into yet until now.
But Kennedy, you can't bring back the dead.
Then prove me wrong. Click on the message with the blue dot next to your mom's name and find out.
Don't do this to me.
Don't you want to see what she wrote?
Kennedy.
River. The only thing I care more about in this world than computers is you. And when I saw you hurting and I couldn't do anything about it, I knew I had to do something. And this was it.
Why me? Why my mom? You don't know how long it took me to get over losing her.
Are you?
No, but that's not your decision to make.
But don't you want to know if she's okay? If she's at peace? Don't you want to tell her how much you miss her? How much you still need her?
Yeah, of course I do. But that's not for us to decide. This is life, and a part of life is death, and so is letting go.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Not anymore, because you still have her. And you'll always have her because she's right there on the other side of that blue dot waiting for you.
And end of play. Cool. Thanks for that second run there. Cool, cool, cool. How did that second go of it feel for you both?
I mean, I really loved it. It's nice. It's nice. Because like we said, that first cold reads, it's like meeting an old friend, kind of, and now it's like getting to play again.
Yeah, I felt like we got to play more this time. And I don't know what anyone says about Zoom and everything, but I think there is something about like energies being able to be wired across continents and countries. And so like there are moments where I like totally felt your energy shift and where I could like dig a little bit more, a little push a little bit more.
Me too.
Yeah, it felt just from the conversation, like in the first like 2 pages, I was like, and one for all the audience out there, this is just the brilliance of actors. Whenever I have my playwright hat on, I always have such anxiety after a first read, and I forget in a second read. Oh, actors are just like obviously like after the cold read, they're just like 10 times more confident in what they're doing and they've made choices. But here in just those first 2 pages, I was like, oh my gosh, look, I just like saw 8 years more of friendship go in both of them, and it was just like the coolest thing to see just like click right away. And it was just the brilliance of the 2 of you together. I feel very proud of myself for assuming the 2 of you would make great friends. But
The first three is always terrible. Like I feel like if I were never diagnosed for dyslexia, as soon as like the first read comes through, I'm like, I can't read. I don't know what's happening. They're gonna fire me right after. And then once that's done, you're like, you've everything, the notes and the adjustments and the conversations, you're able to layer it in. So then by the second read, you're able to play more.
I remember, that sort of fear of the beginning, I'll never forget. San Francisco Playhouse audiences know and love Francis Jew. I remember when I worked on the language archive, which Addie was in with Francis, it was Francis Jew, Emily Kuroda, Addie, like all these people that like I've wanted to direct that play for forever, and it's all these Asian American actors who I've looked up to and like leaders I've looked up to. And I kid you not, for the first 10 minutes of that rehearsal process, I forgot how to direct a play. And Francis, I think Francis, being who he is and being the kind and sympathetic soul that he is, I think he saw it in me and he's like, Jeffrey, can you tell us a little bit about why you love this play? And then right when I started there, I was like, oh yeah, I do know how to do this. It was like that fear at the very beginning that like I think any artist has. Like, how do I do this again?
Yeah, that fear is so real. It's like the goal and the joy of it is like getting out of your own way because you have the capabilities and that's why you're in the room in the first place, you know. But I think somehow we artists, we psych each other out. We psych ourselves out and then we psych each other out. And I feel like for me, like with the rehearsal process, because it's all about trial and error and playing, that the first 3 weeks can be like kids in a playground without knowing the directions of the tools. And then by maybe opening night, it feels like, okay, they're not going to fire me.
We're not going to fire you, Carolina.
That,
That was
that's
terrific, you guys. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. It was very moving the second time through. I was quite moved by it. I wonder, I always like to ask everybody at this point, because suppose it is a first rehearsal and suppose we were going to have more, which would be lovely. What would you do tomorrow? What would each of you work on next? And we'll start with the actors, and then Jeffrey, you can, and Conrad, if there's something you might change, if you might adapt something, or just all four of you. Addie, why don't you start?
Gosh, I feel like my favorite part of the first rehearsal is getting to know the other actors and what they like, where those characters live in them, so that so much of like what I do in that first week is about how my character fits with these other people's characters,
Yeah.
which is so fun.
yeah.
The
Like
joy of just discovering the words as they come out of a person, like giving the words flesh,
Yeah.
Carolina, what would be your next, what
yeah,
would you work on about the character next?
somewhere along the line of what Addie said, like I think like be like the greatest like creeper stalker of my fellow actors. And even if that means I always love after rehearsal drinks, so that after rehearsal gatherings, because then you get to know people's energy beyond that. But also I think aside from that, I think just working on being more like just very, very in tune with Addie's character. And because I think Kennedy is so, so, so aware of like every single little moment of shifts and knows when to like prod about a question and when to like back off. And so I think like figuring out like where that happens.
Great. Jeffrey?
For me, what's funny is, so this is my second time I'm getting to play with Conrad's words here, and both of the times they were pretty truncated rehearsal processes. I mean, it's a short piece, so that's sort of the name of the game with it. But for me, what I love to do with pieces, and what I would love to do with this piece in particular, is to see what it feels like if we sort of pushed against the text a little bit more, just because I feel like when you play the opposite of what the words are saying, because sometimes we do that, right? That's our tells, as human beings. And I'd be curious to know what we discover, because it would just, a lot of it would be discoveries. Maybe most of it we wouldn't play it that way, but we might feel or discover subtext. And sometimes my favorite moments are like, oh, it feels so good when you play the words opposite of what they're saying, and it brings so much depth to it. So that's what I would play with.
That's fantastic. Conrad, anything you would, now this is the first time you've heard the Zoom version, right?
I've heard it one time before.
Oh, okay.
But like everything, it's always different with different actors because of what Carolina just said. It's energies.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would change is I would dump 2 sentences, and the only reason is because of energy, because I felt an energy shift. when it shouldn't, when it could have been, I think, more adept to the play.
So at
To
this point, you just a couple little snips, huh?
Snips, exactly. But
Well,
it couldn't have been done without this experience with these actors. So I thank you
yeah.
so much.
You know, I had an impulse that I'm going to share. I wish we had time to do it, and I thought about it, and then I realized, oh, we couldn't do that because he's adapted the play to Zoom. But I found myself, because when I read it, you know, they were on a bench and there was a big green lawn in back of them, and they were on like the Ivy League campus and some stately buildings and people going by and stuff. So I wondered, it would be a nice experiment sometime to do it, to put them back on the bench, because I wonder whether we behave differently when we think we're on a Zoom call versus whether when we think, even though we're in Zoom, you know, we're situated in a grounded reality, you know, with a actual bench and wind and things. I just wonder how it would have affected it, you know.
People
And then the
walking
only other
by.
thing I would say is I think the next time we do this all together, we all have to have little blankets like Carolina has there, you know.
Cozy.
And then we could all stand up with our little blankets. I didn't see it until you shifted. That was funny. But anyway, wonderful work, you guys. It's fantastic. I love this play, and I love what you all did with it. Thank you very much. And thank you, all of you who tuned in tonight. So thrilled to have you at the 6th and final episode of our 6-play Winter Zoomlet series. And we'll bring the Zoomlet back. It's very popular. We had over 300 people sign up tonight, and we're really grateful to all of you who attended. And we're especially grateful to those of you who made a small donation, because we pay everybody, and it's really helpful that you support the Zoomlets the way you do. And for those of you who didn't make a donation, we always send out a thank you for attending email afterwards, and you'll have one more opportunity to make a small donation to help us to keep live theater going amidst this crazy pandemic. Also wanted to let you know that in our Act 2 winter play series, we're going to be opening, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be opening Hieroglyph by Erica Dickerson Dispenza. It's a co-production with the Lorraine Hansberry Theater Company, the 3rd time we've done a co-production with that company, and the first since Margot Hall was appointed the artistic director, and Margot, the luminous Margot Hall, will be directing that production. So please check it out. You'll be getting emails and all that about Hieroglyph. Please come see it. It's an amazing play. So thank you once again for being here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.